Hey, Kentucky, this is Mary Jo Perino. Tonight, Daniel Cameron's battle to rein in Governor Beshear takes more twists and turns. We learn more about the possibilities for SEC football, and some coaches tear into a few of Cal's cats ahead of the NBA draft. All that and more is next on Hey, Kentucky. Welcome to Hey, Kentucky with LEX 18 Sports Director Keith Farmer. Keith, how you doing?
Sad day, sad day. We should
happened?
be at the Barbasol.
Yes.
Sweating as much as we can watching the first round of the Barbasol. I'm really disappointed.
I thought last year's
Sports
Barbasol
comes back soon.
I thought last year's Barbasol was so hot. I think this year would have been even hotter.
But I'd take it. I would take it.
Yes, I would too. All right, let's get started. The battle over Governor Beshear's power to issue executive orders during the pandemic is ramping up. Yesterday, Attorney General Daniel Cameron filed a motion to block all of the governor's past and future orders under the COVID-19 state of emergency. Cameron says the governor's actions are arbitrary and violate Kentuckians' constitutional rights. The Attorney General filed the motion in Boone County, the scene of one of the governor's most recent legal losses. Beshear phoned into KSR this morning with a strong reaction.
It's pretty unbelievable, and it's really reckless. Now, we in Kentucky and in America are at war with COVID-19, and the Attorney General wants to come collect all of our ammunition and say good luck with the enemy. And this is not the time for these types of things.
Cameron put out several tweets about Beshear today, including one that read, quote, "Judges at every level have found constitutional problems with his orders. Instead of collaborating with our office and the General Assembly to fix these issues, he's pointing fingers," end quote. Cameron was in Scott County Court today trying to use the case there to argue against Beshear's mask mandate. The governor is seeking relief from a circuit court and the state Supreme Court in trying to maintain his power. Keith, I got to be honest with you. This feels a lot to me like, hey, we didn't ask you guys what we should do, and their feelings got hurt, and now we're all up in arms about it.
Because I think we would have come out with the same decisions.
Yes.
And just because they didn't have a little say-so, now they're just going to go do this. And to me, it also feels a little bit like retaliation for what happened when the roles were reversed and we had Beshear bringing all the things against Bevan, and there was all that infighting, which I never liked either.
Mm-hmm.
And so it just almost feels like retaliation there.
It creates a mixed message because Daniel Cameron keeps saying, I'm for everybody wearing their masks all the time. But then when someone hears he's challenging it in court, it doesn't jive. All right. Parents in Kentucky.
Exactly. You're dead on.
Yes, largest school district might need to prepare for distance learning to start the fall semester. That's because most members of the Jefferson County Board of Education say they prefer to start the 2020-2021 school year with non-traditional instruction rather than allowing students to return to in-person instruction. The school board will vote on two options for JCPS in 2020 during its meeting next Tuesday, starting the year with an updated distance learning plan or offering parents the choice between sending their children back to school or enrolling them in virtual classes. Schools are set to begin on August 25th. And Keith, we're going to hear from Fayette County in the next couple of weeks. Either way, I don't think these are set in stone. I think things can change if the numbers go down.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. I think they just have to start getting those plans in place. And I was a little surprised that Jefferson County went with the learning from home right off the bat, at least from the board members. And so it's going to be interesting to see what their final decision is and what Fayette County does too. I like the fact that Fayette County has left several different options on the table and given everybody a say-so in it.
Exactly. All right, turning to college football. The SEC is considering a change to the season, and it's one fans might not be necessarily expecting. During a meeting this week at the league headquarters, SEC athletic directors discussed a potential move to a 10-game schedule, including 8 conference games and 2 non-conference games. Such a move would help facilitate the busy slate of games the second week of the season, September 12th, which features various matchups between the SEC, ACC, and Big 12. Sports Illustrated reports that this potential move is one of several different models the league discussed during this week's meeting, with 2 others being an 8-game conference-only schedule, along with a 9 or 10-game schedule, which would preserve at least one scheduled matchup with a Power 5 conference team. Keith, it would be great if Kentucky could keep that Louisville game on the schedule.
I look at this 2 ways. I'm like, first off, okay, great, football. Give me 8 SEC games. Give me a couple of good rivalry games, including Louisville. But then I look at it and think, we're leaving 2 games off. What does that do, really, when we're asking these guys to compete during a pandemic year? And I just don't see how taking 2 games off benefits anything.
Yeah. I mean, it lessens the chances of that game, something happening. But yeah, you're right. I don't know what the difference is between 11 games and 10 games. I
think I would get it more if it was like, okay, we're going to 6 games.
Yes, yeah. Or conference only, any of those things. I could kind of see. All right, now a couple of UK basketball topics. First up, the Cats have missed out on a couple of big-name recruits, but it's not a huge surprise. 2020 5-star center Musa Cisse has committed to Memphis, picking Penny Hardaway's team over UK, Florida State, Georgetown, LSU. That news, not shocking. UK hasn't really been viewed as a major contender with him for a little while now, and everyone in college hoops is going to miss out on Jonathan Kuminga. The #1 prospect for 2021 says he'll be reclassifying to this year and signing with the NBA G League. Keith, this reclassification thing is out of control, first of all, but that's a different topic. Not surprised to see any of this.
The fast track to the NBA, right, is what reclassification is. And yeah, I wasn't real surprised by especially Cisse going to Memphis. That's what everybody seemed to think all along. And we're going to start seeing some of these top players going off to the G League, so not a real surprise there.
Yep, it's going to happen. All right, meanwhile, some outgoing Cats have come under fire from a few Division I coaches who were allowed to comment anonymously on NBA draft prospects. The comments to The Athletic about players including Tyrese Maxey, Ashton Hagans, and Emmanuel Quickley range from complimentary to downright brutal. One coach says Maxey is one of the most overrated players in the draft and questions his basketball IQ, while another likes his toughness and good defense. Quickley's reviews, including being a great college player but not ready for the NBA. And another coach says Hagans, usually celebrated for his defense, is, quote, overstated and selfish and trash. The comments drew reaction from Coach Cal, who tweeted, quote, "It's always disappoints me when coaches talk anonymously about kids." UK Assistant Joel Justice basically said the same thing. These are kind of harsh words for players who likely beat these coaches during the season.
Yeah, I mean, basically what it's like is like Twitter with an anonymous handle out there. I mean, just being able to say whatever he wants. And I was thinking, I don't like those either. Long before Cal even spoke up on it. I just don't like the fact that they're giving them such a big voice and not at least saying, you know, who they are. I mean, that's just not fair.
Yeah, and calling a kid trash, especially someone of Ashton Hagans' caliber, truly, I can't stand behind that. All right, now to our weekly feature on Hey Kentucky, What's the Beef? Sponsored by the Kentucky Beef Council. Louisville Mayor Greg Fisher and his administration are officially under investigation. A government committee voted in favor of an order which will look into how the Fisher administration handled the Breonna Taylor case and David McAtee's death, as well as recent protests surrounding racial injustice. And that's tonight's edition of What's the Beef? And before we go to break, we want to let you know that you can now see clips of Hey Kentucky on the LEX18 app on devices for your TV like Roku, Apple TV, or Amazon Fire. Just download the LEX18 app, and when you open it, hit the back button to call up the main menu. You can see show clips from the current day or past airings. Up next on Hey Kentucky, I'll talk with an infectious disease expert who was with the CDC before he came to Lexington. More on what Dr. Daniel Rodriguez has to say about the current state of this pandemic.